Welcome to the first episode of Anyone Else Think, a show presented by 88.7 WRSU FM New Brunswick and hosted by myself, Nala Pena. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and no, it is not just because I am super excited to finally be rolling out this project. It's a beautiful day because somewhere on this earth, somebody is celebrating their birthday today. Happy birthday if it's you. Somewhere in the world, people are getting ready to celebrate their life, and that is super exciting. But why does it matter on this episode? Well, it asks, anyone else think about birthday rules? And if you're wondering what birthday rules are, or if you have thought about this, whatever the case is, please hold on for a second because I am going to take a minute to run through the layout of the show, not just for this episode, but for the future, just so that right off the bat, we could kind of get an idea of what our time together is going to look like and then never talk about it again. So for the first 2 minutes, which is what we're going through right now, we go through housekeeping where I present the guests, the debates, and things like that. Afterwards, we get into the argument, which is really the overall topic and main perspective of the episode. Then we get into the flaws because with every thought, there will be a flaw. After we talk about the flaws, I will bring up the facts. We will always have a break before or after I bring up the facts, but nonetheless, when we come back, we will start to talk about the public's opinions and their experiences. Like, really, what do other people have to say about this? Then we're going to get into tips and common ground. Because let's be real, at the end of every perspective, you could agree to disagree, but still, we could acknowledge resources, commonality, and things like that. And before each episode ends, I am going to share what I have learned. So hopefully listeners get a chance to reflect on what the entire episode ran through. But nonetheless, this episode is going to run through some very important conversations because guess what? Everybody listening has a birthday, and everybody listening deserves to celebrate their birthday in a positive, rememberable way. So with that said, let's get into it. Anyone else think about birthday rules? Now, I've spent more or less 2 years compiling these rules, mostly because I'm genuinely passionate about the creation of this list. Personally, I think it's going to help people celebrate their birthdays happily rather than end the night potentially in sorrow because let's be real, birthdays bring about a lot of different energies and emotions for people. So with that said, not only had I put the list to the test myself, but I sent the list to friends, family, peers, mentors, just a bunch of people who could let me know what did and didn't work, not just for them, but the people around them. And honestly, everyone's feedback was identical. They're grateful for the list. People said that the list is the only set of birthday rules that they could find and that there's no other reliable, easy to follow list like this one. So I came up with 9 different points to follow. Feel free to take notes, but after I read the 9 rules as blatantly as possible, I will share explanations for each birthday command. So again, I'll read all the rules at once and I'll give explanations after. So, rule number 1, plan 2 weeks ahead. 2, do not do all of the planning. 3, big groups are a big no-go. 4, never pay for your own dinner or dessert. 5, celebrate on or after, never before. 6, you cannot be alone. 7, unless you specifically asked. 8, weekends are automatically yours. And 9, expect people to flake / expect the unexpected. All right, so let's just get into the explanations. Number 1, plan 2 weeks ahead because this is going to give you enough time to reserve dinner, book hotels, plan a local getaway, anything like that. Number 2, do not do all of the planning yourself. Of course, you want to be in the know, but full responsibility typically means more stress. So have 1 or 2 helpers, that's fine, but don't do it all yourself. Number 3, big groups are a big no-go. Now, this rule really depends on your plans because if you're planning to travel, obviously more people means cheaper fees, which is always good during your birthday. But for that reason, if you're planning 2 weeks in advance, if you're following rule number 1, inviting 20 people may be a little bit flaky, for example. So just keep that in mind. Big groups are probably a big no-go depending on your plans. Number 4, never pay for your own dinner or dessert. Now, this really depends on the person because obviously if you have kids, you may have to pay for them, but you shouldn't pay for your own dinner if you're bringing somebody with you and your kids. That's just my opinion. But if you know that you're not going to have a donor ahead of time, I do think that you should take the opportunity to put money aside and enjoy your meals throughout the day. It's your birthday. You want to eat some good food. So if you're not going to have somebody, if you know you're not going to have someone who's able to pay those fees for you, put the money aside and do it for yourself. Honestly, with this rule, you just want to be prepared to pay for yourself if anything, but be prepared to cut off anybody who doesn't want to pay for you, because at the end of the day, I don't think you should pay for your own dinner or dessert if you're with someone else. Number 5, celebrate your birthday on or after the day of, never before. And this is only because some cultures believe that it's bad luck. And why do you want to invite bad juju into your birthday? Hello? Number 6, you cannot be alone. With this rule, you need to make sure that you're asking for the things you want and you're specific, because number 7 says that you cannot be alone unless you specifically asked for that. So intentionality is key with these 2 rules. 6 and 7 is really just asking you to identify your desires and put them out there. Now, number 8 is a little controversial for some people, but listen, the weekends are always yours to celebrate. The weekend after your birthday is yours to celebrate. And if your birthday's on a Monday, guess what? The weekend before and the weekend after, it's yours, because why not? If your birthday's on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you could claim the entire weekend as yours. Let's make that very clear. If your birthday is on a Thursday through Sunday, that entire weekend is yours to celebrate. And if your birthday's on a Sunday, again, just like Monday, who's to say you can't take the remainder of the week to celebrate? It is your birthday. And lastly, number 9, expect people to flake / expect the unexpected. That way, you can't be disappointed when people don't show up. Also, sometimes too much planning could be the demise of things. We just can't plan everything in life. So expect the unexpected. But lastly, do so on a good note. You never know what good surprises will come. And I mean, after living through a pandemic, we all know what it is to expect the unexpected. Actually, let's take a second to acknowledge what birthday celebrations were during post-COVID, because that was definitely very different. According to Harvard Medical School, they posted a study in June 2021, and it proves that there was a 30% increase in COVID infections for households with a recent birthday. Now, I'm going to share this link on social media, but basically there were a bunch of informal gatherings such as birthdays that significantly contributed to the rise of positive COVID tests, but also households with child birthdays are less likely to cancel and less likely to follow directions at an event. So during COVID, if you had a child, you probably contributed to this a little bit more, at least according to Harvard Medical School. Now, when it comes to what the public has to say, again, I spoke to people who had already put this list on trial, and in different forms, everyone basically said the same thing. Just be aware and communicative. Know what you want, know what others need, and make sure it's all being communicated both with you and by you. Again, know what you want, know what you need, and make sure it's all being communicated both with you and by you. And on the note of communication, let me give you guys some other tips on gifts, invitations, and just other small details that could heavily affect someone's birthday. Obviously, everyone's birthday is special, but we are not going to act like the ones that fall on holidays do not have a little extra pizzazz to them, okay? My first tip is to give holiday babies multiple gifts on their special day. Don't cheap out. Christmas, Valentine's Day, whatever it is, accommodate for both. Now, here's some tips when it comes to planning. I'm going to list 3 major ones. So, number 1, Google and Apple Calendar do a fantastic job at allowing you to add event details in one space that multiple people could see. 2, you could create visually appealing invitations to be digitally sent or printed. Most importantly, you could do that for free. As long as you have access to Wi-Fi or email, Adobe and Canva allow users to have free creation. So that's definitely very helpful. Again, save the dates, invitations, and all sorts of very nice visuals could be created on Canva and Adobe for free. And my last point of advice in terms of planning, number 3. Create and utilize a common space for everyone involved in the birthday celebration. If you create a Facebook group, email newsletter, Google Doc, anything of that sort. The entire collective will have a reliable source of updates and relevant discussions. The only reason I don't suggest iMessage is because there's always that one person to turn it green and everything just goes downhill after that. So again, if you use a Facebook group, newsletter, Google Docs, anything like that, it's great for before, during, and after, because think about it. People are going to want details, they're going to want photos, they're going to want to exchange contact info, and there's just so many benefits to this. Those are a couple of tips I learned from speaking with everyone. I also learned that being timely is so important. You know, your birthday or your loved one's birthday is the same day every single year. The day does not change. So the easiest way to celebrate successfully is to plan ahead. Look forward to celebrating life. Hopefully you learned something too. Maybe you'll even put this list to the test. Feel free to hit me up on social media and let me know your opinions, because seriously, anyone else think about birthday rules? My @name is Nochonala and the show's @ is @anyone else think. Catch us on air live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. on 88.7 WRSU FM New Brunswick, WRSU.org, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.